Hi everybody, it's great to be back here in tomorrow. It's Friday. Let's get right down to this week's portion, Parashat Vayakhel, which is one of the 4 portions that deal with building the tabernacle. Yes, there are 4 portions. Wow. This is supposed to remind us how important it is to build the Beit HaMikdash. And every day, we should think about how much went into that. We will pray every single day that God willing, in our days, speedily we will see the building of the Beit HaMikdash. The tabernacle is only a temporary structure, but of course this is all preparation for the great event. Before we go on, let's remember that we interrupted last week's portion with the sin of the golden calf, which really is out of place in the Torah here because we know that that took place before building of the tabernacle. Let's put things in order. After the Jewish people left Egypt, on the 15th day of the month of Nisan, 50 days later, Moshe Rabbeinu goes up. Don't forget the Jewish people received Torah. At Sinai, Moshe Rabbeinu goes up the next day. And 40 days, he's up on the mountain, God is teaching him Torah. He comes down with the first set of tablets, which he has to break because they sin with the golden calf. Again, this is the 17th day of Tammuz, he breaks the Luchot. Obviously, they sinned before he broke them, the previous day. Then Moshe Rabbeinu goes up again the next day, on the 18th, and for 40 more days, asking for forgiveness for Am Yisrael. He comes down, God tells him to prepare the second tablets. He goes up again on the 29th of the month of Av, and he gets down again. When he comes down, yes, for the final time, the last time, 3 times being up there, on Yod Tishrei, on Yom Kippur. On that great day, God forgives the Jewish people. It's the Day of Atonement for the sin of the terrible golden calf. In order to rectify, God tells them, build me a house, build me a tabernacle. There's a temporary structure before, again, they get to the Beit HaMikdash. And Moshe Rabbeinu commands them on the 11th month of Tishrei with this beautiful commandment of going out and building the tabernacle. But in order to do it, you need materials. So on the 12th and the 13th, everyone's running around, men and women, to gather all this stuff they have and bring the supplies from gold, silver, copper, etc., the different skins and the wood and the oil and finally the stones. All these things have to be collected for the building of their tabernacle. On the Shabbat day, which was only 2 days later, on Yod Dalet, on the 14th day of the month of Tishrei, Moshe Rabbeinu says, enough, we received enough donations for the tabernacle, and now we can go to build it. On the 15th day, the Vilna Gaon explains, according to also the Midrash Sedo Olam Rabbah, that the clouds of glory return to the camp of Israel, and that is why we celebrate the holiday of Sukkot on the 15th day of the month of Tishrei, because everyone gathered all this stuff, it was all ready to build the tabernacle, and here we are, ready to roll on the 15th day of the month of Tishrei, and we're ready to go. Okay, that sort of put things in perspective. This week's portion, Vayakhel, begins on the actual day of the 11th, when Moshe Rabbeinu is commanding them to go out and get all the stuff, gather it together, and build the tabernacle. I'd like to focus today on the Nisiim, on the princes of Israel, which is interesting. If we look in the Torah, and I'll bring it down quickly. Which verse I want to show you here? Yes, if you look on the Torah again, chapter 35, verse number 27. Now, again, this is after everyone's bringing the different things, the different donations to the tabernacle. It says like this: Vanisiim, and the princes of each tribe, we know had a certain nasi, head of the tribe. Heviu et avnei hashoam, they brought the stones of avnei shoam, the avnei hamiluim, and the stones that were used for the breastplate, le'ephod v'lachoshen, for the ephod, which is the outer garment, and the breastplate. The ephod had on the 2 shoulders, the stones that had 6. Again, there were 6 stones on each, representing each tribe, and they brought those stones. Now, if we look in the order of things, in the Parashat Terumah, which we begin to discuss the portions of that deal with the tabernacle, it gives a long list of different things that were brought. It begins with gold, silver, copper, the different strings that we used, tchelet, agaman, right, which were the different woolen colored strings, blue or red or orange, tolat shani, and flax. These different things we used, 3 different skins, goat skins, skins of sheep, and also the tachash, skins of tachashim we used. We know also the wood of acacia wood, oil, and the different spices. And finally, it mentions the stones the last. Now, if you look in this order, something's very strange. Because it begins by order of importance. We know the most expensive things were gold, metal, precious metals. And it goes down finally to things that are found even, wood or oil, these things are less expensive than gold. We know that. To this very day, gold is number one. But something very strange, finally, at the end of the list, it brings down Avnei Shoham, Avnei Miluim, brings down the precious stones. Now, how do we know what these precious stones were all about and what they were worth? Well, I'll tell you right now, they were worth more than gold. How do we know this? I'll tell you a quick story in the Talmud, in the tractate of Kiddushin, which is one of the tractates that deal with marriage. Again, in the Talmud, it tells the story of a Gentile man. His name was Dama ben Netina. And he was a very, very special person that the Talmud wants to show how much one must respect his mother and father. And he was a merchant in very precious stones, and his father was sleeping on a pillow, and the key was under the pillow. The rabbis came to purchase these precious stones for the breastplate and for the Kohen, the high priest's garment. They come there, and he says, please, we're willing to give you a fortune of money, which is something in Hebrew, shishim ribo, 6 million, or even 80 million, whatever it was in that day. Tremendous amount of money they're willing to offer to pay for these stones. So Dam ben Netina said, listen, I want to tell you something. My papa is sleeping. I can't wake him up. The key's under his pillow. Please, whatever it was. He probably said, wait, come back. Whatever it was, they left. He missed out on this great deal. And the Talmud wants to show, wow, look how this person honors his father. The next year, he was blessed. And what was born in his flock was a para aduma, a red heifer was born in his flock. So that was even worth more than the stones. He was given back a tremendous blessing. Whatever it was, we see from the story, and we can learn so much about how one must honor his father and mother. But here I wanted to bring down the tremendous value of these stones. You see here how much these stones are worth. More than everything. And why was it put at the end of the list? This question is brought down by one of our great commentaries, Rav Chaim ben Atal, or Chaim HaKadosh. If you look in a portion of Terumah, he brings down, as a matter of fact, I'll quickly have it in front of him here to read his wonderful words of wisdom and the question that he asks. And he says like this, Tzarich ladat, we must know, Lama katav avnei shoam. Why did it write avnei shoam, avnei miluim? Why did it put these precious stones beseder achal kol yud aleph, after the all 11 previous different types of species of things that were brought? Umin ha'ru'i haya lo lisadram kodem zahav v'chesef. It should have been placed before gold and silver because of the reasons we told you. Because ki heim mu'ulim hem, because they're much more expensive, much more, in value than gold. V'ulai ki letzad shemetzinu shenesim hiviu otam b'chona. And he says an amazing thing. Now, he brings out the Midrash. Because perhaps the reason is because the Nesi'im brought it at the end. Now, what is he referring to? What do you mean they brought it at the end? I'd like to quote Rashi. If I can't find the Rashi here, I'll just say it by heart. And Rashi brings it down. Let me just try to find it quickly for you. Here. Oh, I found the Rashi. Rashi says like this. V'Nesi'im eviu. It says the Nesi'im eviu. This is again brought down in Exodus 35, verse number 27. And if you look very carefully at the word here, it's very unusual. Usually the word Nesi'im is spelled with 2 yuds in Hebrew. Here it's missing a yud. And why is their name missing a yud? To show there's something that was lacking. And Rashi explains what was lacking. Rashi says like this. Amar Rabbi Natan, ma ra'u nesi'im litnadev b'chanukat hamizbeach betchila. What did the princes, the heads of the tribes, see? A reason to the first ones to go ahead and offer when it came time to the bringing sacrifices to inaugurate the building of the tabernacle, which takes place months later in Nisan, the first of Nisan, they inaugurated the tabernacle after it was finally built. It was finished, by the way, in Hanukkah time, but they waited until the month of Nisan, until Isaac, the month he was born. And that's when it was inaugurated, the tabernacle. So they're the first ones, the heads of the tribes, to go ahead and bring their sacrifices. So Rabbi Natan asks, why? Why do they run and why do they want to be the first ones to show their love to the tabernacle and bring these sacrifices? On the other hand, it says, Umelechet hamishkan lo itnadvu betchila. But when it came to the building of the tabernacle itself, they weren't the first ones to do it. Elakach amu nisiim. So it explains, this is what they said. Yinadvu tzibor min haminadvim. First, the congregation would bring as much as they can bring. This is what they thought, the heads of the tribes. Let everyone bring as much as they can. But whatever's missing will fit the bill. We'll take care of whatever's missing. And after the tzibur was so amazing that the entire community brought everything, there was nothing really left except the stones, which were very expensive, don't forget. And then after, they wanted to make up for this, and they brought later on the sacrifices. But what does this really all mean? Here we see it wasn't their fault. I mean, they thought of a strategy. They said, let the tzibur, let the people bring, and then we'll fit in what's missing. They could have cost them a lot of money. What would happen if 50% of the stuff was brought? They would have to, I heard once a beautiful word, they would have to pay out, 50% more. So that would have been a lot of money that they would have to put out. So that was that they were taking a certain risk. On the other hand, they really didn't have to. They only have to bring the stones. But wait a sec, we just said these stones are worth so much money. Why would they? So what was the problem? Why was a letter lacking in their name? They bought something so expensive. And the answer really is that even these stones, there was something very unusual about it. The stones came down on the man. When the man came down, and we know it came down every single day, in front of each of the 12 Nesiim, the 12 tribes, a stone was placed within their man, within that dough that comes down, whatever it was that comes down from heaven. There was one of those stones were placed in each of the tribes. We know for the breastplate, not the breastplate, for the ephod, each one of these stones were placed for each tribe. So anyway, the stones sort of were given to them almost as a gift. All they had to do was pick them up and bring them over. That was really their contribution. But the Chatam Sofer, which I heard a beautiful by Rav Baruch, I mentioned before, says the beautiful words of the Chatam Sofer. He explains that what they give, if the stones were given, they didn't give anything. They just brought them over. They just walked a few feet to bring it to the tent of Moshe that they received. But the answer was, when the stone came into the man, they lacked a little bit. Man was missing, right? It took a part of that volume up. So a little bit less man they got. Okay. But here, obviously, the point was that since they were the last to bring something, and also in a way they didn't have to work too hard at all, they wanted to make up for that when it came time to inaugurate the tabernacle. But of course, I think there's a beautiful lesson here, and God's really trying to teach us. Of course, and they seemed very special people, and they meant well, and this was even by his mistake. They were rectified for this mistake because they felt that at the end they did a mistake by giving it, the last ones to bring something. But it teaches us so much about the art of giving and the beauty of giving for something so special. Building the tabernacle, building the land, it's something so dear that you should run. You should be running with all your might and all your strength to be the first one to be involved and to give before it's already taken care of. Then where are you going to be? How are you going to have a part in it? You see how giving to the land, giving to the building such a special, precious thing of Am Yisrael, the people of Israel, is so dear, and how they want to even make up for the fact that they gave it at the end of the list. And also, this is why the Torah actually reverses the order. The stone should have been on the top of the list, but they were placed all the way at the bottom of the list to show that a person, even if a person give a big, huge donation, but if it really doesn't mean much, he didn't work for that. Or is a multi-billionaire, or it's not really considered a lot of money in his eyes. In God's eyes, the most simplest things, even like wood or a little oil, when it comes from a person's heart, and he gives with all his heart and soul and runs to give, that's worth more than anything in God's eyes. There's a lesson for all of us in what it is to give charity and to mean it from the heart and give it till it hurts. Something that really is, for you, is a very, very special thing. And therefore, that's on the top of the list. Those things beyond, even this, although the stones are worth a lot more money. But anyway, I hope this message came across to you all, and this little small Torah, but again, the Torah is so great and giant, whatever, there's so much to learn, and here, a little small taste of inspiration for the week. But anyway, I miss you all, and wow, I hope we'll be back very soon again to continue. Next week we'll have, God willing, we'll continue again on the tabernacle, and it's just great to be with you. So have a great week. Shabbat shalom, besorot tovot, yeshuot v'nechamot.